what's up, viewers? Patrick from Bob vs. Only back in the YouTube video in this episode number 5 of Running Week on Bob versus of the Day. And today's verse comes out of Galatians 5 verse 7, and it says, "You were running a good race. Who cut in on you to keep you from obeying the truth?" And that's what that verse means. And let's get into it. So sticking with Galatians chapter 4, in verse 6, it says, "Because you are his sons, God sent the Spirit of his Son into our hearts, the Spirit who calls out, 'Abba, Father.'" And this is the Royal Rangers recap. So, now going to James chapter 4 verse 7. And it says in James chapter 4 verse 7, it says, "Submit yourselves then to God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Now going to Hebrews chapter 5 verses 8 through 9. It says, "Son though he was, he learned obedience from what he suffered. And once made perfect, he became the source of eternal salvation for all who obey him." And now going to 1 John chapter 3, verse 2. And here's what it says. "Dear friends, now we are children of God, and what we will be has not yet been made known. But we know that when Christ appears, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is." Now going to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 7. It says, "But we have this treasure in jars of clay to show that this all-surpassing power is from God and not from us." Now going to Luke chapter 22, verses 42 and 44. And it says, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me. Yet not my will, but yours be done." And then verse 44 it says, "And being in anguish, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling to the ground." In Mark chapter 8, verse 34, it says, "Then he called the crowd to him along with his disciples and said, 'Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me.'" In Matthew chapter 28, verse 18, it reads, "Then Jesus came to them and said, 'All authority in heaven and on earth has been given to me.'" Now going back to Mark chapter 1, verses 10 and 11, it says, "Just as Jesus was coming up out of the water, he saw heaven being torn open, and the Spirit descending on him like a dove. And a voice came from heaven, 'You are my Son, whom I love. With you I am well pleased.'" And last but not least, in the book of Genesis, starting off with chapter 1, verses 26 through 28. And it reads, Then God said, Let us make mankind in our image, in our likeness, so that they may rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, over the livestock and all the wild animals, and over all the creatures that move along the ground. So God created mankind in his own image. In the image of God he created them. Male and female he created them. God pleased them. God blessed them, and said to them, Be fruitful, and increase in numbers. Fill the earth and subdue it. Rule over the fish in the sea, and the birds in the sky, and over every living creature that moves on the ground. And finally, in Genesis chapter 2, verse 17, it reads, But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, for when you eat from it, you will certainly die. And that's all for the verse portion